What is insight? And what does insight mean to us on a practical level? And how can it make our day-to-day lives better, right? We could talk about all of these different techniques and different philosophies and different ways of exploring our minds. But if we don't really know how it will make our lives better, it kind of makes it a lot less motivating for us to continue to strive to practice these things. So, insight is exactly what the word means. It's a penetrating thought into how things actually exist rather than how we perceive them to exist based on our own biases, right? Each person has their own biases about life. We have our own likes and dislikes and thoughts of what's good and bad and the way that we think things should be. And those biases come from other people and through our own journeys in life of what's caused us pleasure and what's caused us pain. Main human motivating factors are to avoid pain and seek pleasure. So when we talk about insights, and I'll keep this as brief as possible for today because this is a very complex topic that we could spend many days and many conversations on, but this is kind of a opener to it, just to kind of give you an idea of what insight is and how it affects us daily, right? How it can affect us daily as we begin to cultivate insight. But these biases have been put on us by the society surrounding us, our likes, our dislikes, and what we've been exposed to. If something caused us pleasure, then we've stored that away as an impression, as an imprint on our unconscious awareness. And we have sought to pursue that again. If something has caused us pain, then likewise we have stored that away as an impression on our unconscious mind or our subconscious mind, and we unknowingly pursue that or seek to avoid that, right? If it's caused us pain. So we seek to find pleasure and avoid pain. And as a result of that, we form these biases. And what insight basically does is allows you, after cultivating it, to see through your biases and to see things as they actually are. Now, insight and the concept of no self are intertwined. And before we get to that, traditionally speaking, there are different steps that one can take in order to begin to cultivate insight. And traditionally, it starts with first cultivating your ability to concentrate, because you have to have a strong ability to concentrate in order to further the practice of deep insight, meditation, or even thinking. We call it meditation, but a lot of times meditation is a misnomer. It's not giving us an accurate portrayal of what's going on in the mind a lot of times. So anyhow, traditionally there are steps to take, and we'll cover that in a later video, but for right now I just want to talk a bit about insight in and of itself. So with insight, you're able to see things, as I said, as they truly are, rather than seeing them based on your biases. And one of the things that helps you with that is the understanding or the realization, they call it, of no self. And when I say no self, we're not referring to there is no person, there is no me, there is no you, there is no you, there is no you. What we're talking about is there is no permanent self that is unchanging. So when I say, who are you? You might say, I'm a mother, I'm a father, I work, I'm a factory worker, I'm a baseball player, I'm a musician, I'm a scholar, I'm a sheikh, I'm this, I'm that, whatever the case may be, right? But that one thing is not an accurate definition of who you are. The arm, your arm, cannot be said to be you. If I cut your arm off, are you still you? And you would say, yes, I'm still me, but I'm me with no arm. So is your arm you? Or is there something else at the core that makes you you? So when you start to develop insight, you start to see that there is no permanent, unchanging self. And a lot of people, when they get into this, they kind of start to panic. The ego starts to panic because the ego has developed. When I say ego, I don't mean somebody who beats their chest and they say, oh, I'm this and I'm that. And, that's one form of ego. But when we're talking about ego here, what we're actually talking about here is the ego of your personal identity, of who it is that you are or who you think you are. So the ego will start to defend your stances and positions on things. And it will say, for example, well, I'm a Christian and I know that this is a fact because I'm a Christian. And this is yada, yada, yada. And your ego will start to defend that because something is attacking from an outside source you on a fundamental level, because you have formed your identity around this thing, right? If you're a bodybuilder, you may be offended, your ego may be offended once it gets attacked, in the sense that someone who practices yoga will say that yoga is superior to bodybuilding because of this reason or that reason. And immediately you'll go on the defensive and start to defend your positioning. And that's your ego at work, okay? So when you start to realize that who you believe you are in that sense is, it's an illusion, right? It's make believe. It's something that you formed that's constantly changing and evolving. And if you look at your life 10 years ago versus where your life is at today, you can see that this is an accurate representation, what I'm telling you. It doesn't take some big earth-shattering realization to see into these realizations and these insights. You can have these insights by simply examining your own life, which is what I highly recommend, is what you should be doing anyway. We all should be doing that. So you examine your life 10 years ago, 5 years ago, so on and so forth, and what you see is that you're not the same as you used to be. And that is an accurate representation of no self, how we are impermanent and ever changing. And for simplicity's sake, to keep things as simple as we can, this is a very strong and good beginning stage to be at when it comes to learning these things about yourself. And this will really and truly alleviate a lot of your suffering in your day-to-day life, because so much of our suffering that we face is based upon our identities and who we believe we are, as far as what the ego has made us believe and what we so strongly defend. People die over this. People kill each other over this. people will literally kill each other and attack another country because of how strongly that they identify with this sense of self. And it's not hard to make other people buy into this because it appeals to their sense of emotionalism. The ego identity and the emotions are so closely linked and tied together that there's no problem making large masses of people believe this type of stuff. And this sets the stage for all kinds of problems, wars and atrocities, that's unbelievable. So there are many, many benefits to gaining insight into the self. And a key point to take away from this short introductory video is that insight is something that all people can gain. You can gain, you can gain it, you can gain it, you can gain it, you can gain it. You can gain insight into who you really are by simply cultivating it, like you would cultivate anything else, like you would cultivate a garden, like you would cultivate personal growth in your finances and your wealth and your success. That way, you have to have a desire to stop suffering. So you want to better your life here and now, then this is a starting point. Start to search into what is insight. I can point the way, but you have to take the journey for yourself. Cultivate the insight for yourself. Till next time.